The run good continues. Hello world, and we are back. My name's Kyle Fischl. This is going to be episode 42 of my poker vlog, and today I'm going to cover a session that occurred last Saturday. It was February 29th. Anytime you go to play poker, you have to go in there with some confidence. This table's like a battlefield, and you have to just come in there confident, prepared, ready to go. You know, if you're scared and timid and worried about the money, like, people are just going to run all over you and it's not going to go well. Like, you don't want to go into a battle like... Anyway, so we're going to get right into the hands. First interesting hand. I am on the button with 4 limpers to me. I have King 8 of hearts. This is a hand I'm definitely going to play because a suited king is pretty good when you're in position. So I raised to $20. This raise really isn't designed to get folds. It's really just designed to build a pot and then continue in position if I connect. And if I don't, I can just get out of the way. If I feel good about the board or there's a massive lack of interest in the pot by the opponents, I can continue for that reason as well. So we go 5 ways to a flop, which comes ace, 6, 7, 2 hearts. So we actually flopped the nut flush draw. When it's checked to me, I think for a little bit about betting here, but as I don't actually have an ace, even though I could and would a lot of the time, I think it's much more likely that one of my 4 opponents could have an ace and they'll just check call, and I have enough equity to continue anyway. I don't really need to bluff at this point yet. The turn is quite an interesting one. It's a black 9. So now I have nut flush draw plus straight draw. Like, somehow my hand is really good with this board. It checks all the way to the middle position player who's fourth to act, and he bets $25, and then I'm next to act. This player in specific, I've seen him throw out $150 bets as bluffs and get called the river, so I really don't think he has it ever. I think he's just bluffing because it was a board that was checked twice to him. So I'm gonna raise to 75, as I could likely just get a fold and win here. And if not, I'm just really happy to take my equity to the river. Well, one early position player calls, and then the turn aggressor decides that he's going to go all in for $254. At this point, I don't really think I can fold. I think I have enough equity to just play my literal odds. I don't think my king or my 8 is live. I don't ever think he actually has a straight here. I think he just has an ace, maybe ace jack, some kind of ace like that. I'm just calling, hoping to hit my heart or my 10 or my 5. So I call, and the early position player calls all in for less, which is actually good because it actually gives me better odds to just draw and hope to get there. Well, the river is a king, so I miss my draws, and don't ever think I am good here. First player to go all in shows pocket 6s. So I kind of stepped in it. If I just bet flop as a standard C bet turn as I get more equity, I think he's going to jam all in anyway with with the sizings that are happening, and I'm just going to be forced to call it off. So with my specific hand, with that board, I think we are getting it in regardless. So if you are a frequent viewer of the channel, you know I always start with more than one buy-in because I can never just get off and running, at least in the recent few weeks. So now we are into the game for $1,400 as we add on after that.
And I will have my vengeance in this life or the next.
Next interesting hand. It is my turn to play pocket 6s. Early position player makes it $20. There is 3 callers again, and I'm in the big blind with pocket 6s. Just gonna obviously set mine with my 6s, 15 to win 100-ish. So I call, and the flop is fantastic. Queen 10, 6, 2 hearts. So we flop our 6, which is amazing. And I check, hoping that the pre-flop aggressor will build a pot, as with the queen and the 10, there's many, face cards, over cards that have connected that will continue in a meaningful way. The pre-flop aggressor bets $35, and it actually folds all the way to me. I consider raising here, but I think a lot of the time he's either strong enough to continue for a turn bet, or he's on literal hearts. And I don't really want to build the pot yet, as the draws have 2 streets at this point, and if I build it now and he just turns it, not a great scenario for me. So I just call at this point. Turn is a 7, so complete brick. Very happy about that. I check to him, and he bets $100. This sizing kind of shocked me. It was much bigger than I thought. I thought at most he would do 75, 80, but for a full 100, it made me believe he was very heavily weighted towards draws. I think ace queen is just much easier to just bet a more standard 75, 80. And I think any kind of 2 pair would bet much less anyway. So sizing up a bit, I put him more on a draw. That means it's time to get the money in now while I think I'm ahead. I don't want the river to be a blank and it can just go check, check, and I don't get any more money. So I raised the $250. He thinks for a little bit and then calls. I'm just at this point praying for a non-heart. That's the only card I want to see. And the dealer decides to do me one better and give me the final 6. We make quads again. As I took the betting lead, now the question is sizing. What sizing do I think would get a call from any kind of hand he could have? I think that if I go big with it, I could myself rep ace X of hearts, 10X of hearts, jack 9 of hearts, king jack. I think there's plenty of hands that I could rep that would play the exact same way that a simple ace queen would be able to beat and therefore call. So I polarize it. I go all in, approximately $450. And my opponent actually thinks for a while. He thinks for like a minute or so. I think he's going to call. I really do. I'm praying for it. He eventually lets it go. And I asked him later about it for the vlog. He claims that he had ace king of hearts. If I made him think about it with ace king, I guess it worked out. I don't think I'm ever getting any more money. I think he might call like $100 or $125 bet. A significant down bet may convince him to just pay it off to C or induce him to raise bluff. But I think that the fact that I made him think about it was a pretty good result based on his exact hand. Next interesting hand. I am in the big blind with king 8 of spades. There is a button straddle. Small blind folds, so I'm next act. I call. And we go 4 ways to a flop, and the board comes 10, 8, 6, 1 spade. Pretty good for me. I think about leading out. I'm considering it for a little bit right now, but the player to my left, Tuffy, decides to disregard my action and check out of turn, which causes the next player to bet $20 pretty quickly. The dealer has to stop it, reverse it back to me, say it's my action. And now I actually have a really interesting decision to make. Right now, I think that a check raise looks a lot like exactly 9-7, as I'm in the big blind and I could easily have any 2 cards. I could have all 2 pairs, I could have all the sets, 9-7. So I decide to check, so it makes the other 2 actions stand. It goes check. Middle position player bets 20, folds to me, and I raise to 60, as, like I said, I can rep all these hands. Tuffy folds, and the middle position flop aggressor chooses to call. I'm not too happy about that, but I think that he is extremely capped. I've narrowed his hand to a 10. A single 10, that's all he has. He never has anything else. There's no way, in my mind. So I'm praying for any turn card that's higher than a 10 so I can continue. The turn is the jack of diamonds. So as it's an overcard, I think that this is a great spot to continue. I bet $160. Literally just bluffing. I think I'm putting a lot of pressure on a 10. Don't think a 10 can stay in. And he thinks for a little bit and then calls. So at this point, I'm really just praying for some help. If I don't get a favorable river card, like, I probably just have to shut down and he can just win. Well, the river is the 3 of clubs, so it actually completes the flush draw. I just don't think he ever has a flush here, ever. This opponent just didn't seem like the type that would lead out with a flush draw. So the fact that the flush came in, I think helps me a lot more, as I could check raise with a flush draw, continuation bet, and river bet when I make my flush. So I go for the third shell. I bet $250. He looks in pain, because I feel confident I narrowed him down to a 10 there, and with that specific run out, if you call with a 10, you are amazing poker player. I could not do it. He does eventually flash a 10 as he throws it in. That was a pretty fun one, honestly.
Are you not entertained?
Next interesting hand. I button straddle at this point because I've built my stack a little bit. I've been doing pretty good, honestly. And so now I'm trying to leverage my chip stack to build a little bit more profit. Started to button straddle at this point. With my button straddle, it folds all the way to the cutoff, who bets $50. And I have queen jack offsuit. I'm going to definitely defend this one. I actually picked up a hand that's relatively good. He doesn't have to have a hand, as he can bet $50 to win 17 and win most of the time, as he only has to get through one player at this point. I have a hand I'm willing to defend. The flop comes king 8-3 rainbow. So I have nothing, and my opponent bets $60. At this point, my BS radar is going on all cylinders. Like, I kind of use this line a lot, but like, what kings does he have here where he's just gonna size up like that? Like, it'd be a weak king, like king 10. The sizing made absolutely no sense to me with such a dry board that I just don't believe him ever. We're gonna just stare him down and test him. So I make it 175. He pretty much snap folds. Little hands like that are kind of fun, and they help you build a stack. Doing this move, it's not just for the literal money. In the long run, it makes people less willing to c-bet into you if they know that there's a chance they'll face a raise and be forced to fold. Like, he snap fold, I don't think he had anything, but anyone at the table watching would say, oh, I have 8-9. And I bet and he raised and I had to fold. They might not try to bet into you with a middle pair going forward. Just something to think about for a long-term table image if you're playing a long session. Next interesting hand. There is a button straddle. One limper to me. I'm in middle position with ace king offsuit. I make it $45. A late position player calls and everyone else folds. So we're going heads up to a flop, which is 9-6-3-2 clubs. On this board, the fact that I don't really connect with it, I don't feel the need to c-bet, as this is a pretty competent reg, and I don't think he's ever really going to fold to a c-bet, but I'm completely comfortable calling him down with ace high on various runouts. So I check to him, and he actually checks it back. The turn is the ace of clubs, so kind of an interesting card here. I decide that I have to bet for value. I bet $45. I think that any worse ace is going to call me, and any single club is going to call me as well. I want to protect against single clubs like Jack 10, Jack of clubs. Hands like that will pay off this bet and be drawing semi-slim, so I'm happy to bet on this card. The river is the ace of spades, so pretty good card here. At this point, I choose to size up. I bet $110. There's a few reasons for this bet. First of all, I choose a sizing where I can fold to literally any raise. If he raises, he's pretty nutted. He flopped a set and somehow has a full house now. He has some kind of flush. I won't think you should even raise with a flush here. Kind of risky. But additionally, maybe a baby flush folds to this. Maybe if he had 7-8 of clubs, he might consider folding. But I'm happy to just name my own price. Additionally, every ace is just going to pay it off, so I can size up to get value by every worst ace, and where a raise to 220 minimum or 250, 275 relatively standard is an easy fold by me. So that's why I chose that sizing. He shows king, queen of clubs, just kind of saying, oh my god, I can't raise now. And then just calls. So I obviously wish he didn't have king, queen of clubs.
Smile for me now, brother.
I'm happy with my sizing. I'm interested to think what you all think about the sizing on this river. Please comment below, as it's a spot that I thought was kind of interesting. A final hand of note. I am in middle position. I have ace jack of spades. I make it $20. There's one caller. A late position player raises to $60 and it folds back to me. This player in particular has by far the highest 3-betting percentage at the table. He's 3-bet probably 4 or 5 times in under 2 hours. So he definitely doesn't have to have the best hand. I watch everything all the way through the hands, and there were a few times where he'd 3-bet and at the river just announce king high, and then he'd have the hand beat and throw it in the muck. So he does not have to have a good hand here at all. So I decide to 4-bet bluff, as I'm not betting here hoping for a call, but I don't think he really has anything. So I make it 175, really just hoping for a fold, as I can punish the persistent 3-betting and maybe dissuade him from doing it in the future with this 4-bet. Well, he calls, which I'm very unhappy about, hoping for some kind of board that helps me out. Well, the board is 4, 5, 6, 1 spade. Now it's time to continue the bluff, because I could have aces, kings, queens, and I'd play it the same way. So ace jack is just a 4-bet bluff at this point. So I take 20 seconds and then bet $200, and he quickly folds. So that's fun. Never 4-bet bluff before, so it's interesting that I have that in my range now. Never thought I'd ever get there, but that's a fun one.
Are you not entertained? Is this not why you are here?
So we cash out shortly after that. Time to leave, time to head for the hills, time to go home and celebrate. Into the game for $1,400, out of the game for $23.27, which is a profit for $927. I was there for 10 hours, which means that I made $92 an hour, not the 100 and a smidge that we aim for, and a little under 20 big blinds an hour. Definitely a result we are quite happy about. You know, we're just gonna take it 1 week at a time, one session at a time. I think that this was one of the sessions that I played better than most. I think I was bluffing more often than having it, which is not really a style that I'm comfortable with or that I want to do. If it's working and you're not really making hands, you have to be able to make your own luck, I guess. Please leave me a comment on any hand you found interesting, helpful, or that I played horrendously, as I read all of them and I try to get back to most people. I'm interested to hear what people say, as it is actually how I get better. And if you like the video, please consider subscribing, as I would greatly appreciate it. And there will be more to come next week. Thank you.